right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
Thank you, Jessica Guay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. This is the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. As you know, we do this show 7 nights a week, and we look for your opinions at 412-575-2600. You can also tweet at KDPomp, at Chris Mueller PGH. Chris joins me up at the PM team, where he's been riding solo this week because Andrew's up with paternity leave, and so you fill that 4 hours. I'm sure there's a lot of Pirate talk and speculation. Let's begin with last night, an offensive explosion. They hit a lot of home runs. Tonight, nothing so far. Martin Perez gave up some runs early, and their offense went back to where it's been largely in this season. And that is the problem, quite frankly, Chris. We haven't seen a 5-game win streak since the beginning of the season. The first 5 games ever since then, it's been win 2, lose 3, win 3, lose 4, win 2, win 1, whatever the case may be. It's just you're treading water almost in this. And the opening is there.
Well, it's even more of a tread water situation than you said right there, Bob. I think this will now be, I want to say maybe a major league record here very soon, if not tonight or tomorrow. They're not going to win tonight. That would have been a chance to win 3 straight. They have not won or lost 3 straight games since the middle of May. I think almost 2 months to the day, Bob. The only other team in Major League history to go at least 50 games without winning or losing 3 straight in any time in that stretch, the Braves from the end of 2021 into the beginning of 2022. So the Pirates have quite literally been treading water and playing 500 baseball for months now. And tonight's an example of frustration here. Martin Perez, not a good outing, but an offense that hammered 5 home runs, 12 runs scored, does absolutely nothing in this game. And this was an important one, make no mistake, not just because it would have been a 3-game winning streak, but you win last night, then you somehow find a way to get this one. You feel really good with Paul Skeens on the mound tomorrow that you're going to get a sweep and really get the Brewers' attention and really make a move. And this one just kind of fell flat with another thud here. Yeah,
and it looked like Willie Adames just hit another home run, so that makes it, I think, 9-0 at this point, so it's turning out to be a rout for the Pirates. But, you know, there is that opportunity. They pulled it within 3 of the wild card last night, and now they may give that ground all the way back, which leads us to trade talk, and I'm sure there's been a lot of it. You guys do a lot of that in the 4 hours you're on the air, and you're always going to hear names and whether or not the Pirates will. There was the John Parado article yesterday, which seemed to cause some confusion and perhaps anger in the Pirate management front office. But I don't know. At this point, it seems to me like they're going to just tread more water, and I don't know that they're going to make many big deals. If so, what deals are available to them that would be considered big?
I mean, Paul Zeiss had somebody that he trusts tell him that they were at least interested in Taylor Ward from the Angels, a guy who could slot into their right field spot right away if they were to get him. He's got 3 years of team control left. He's 30 years old. He was kind of a late bloomer to the big leagues. Solid power, right-handed bat. If you got a guy like that, I think that would be a nice jolt for the lineup. That's not an A-list name. It's not even a name most people have heard of, really, other than in trade discussions, but solid ball player. I'm sure the Angels know that. They know they have a lot of presumptive suitors or prospective suitors for Taylor Ward. And so I think it's going to be a high-cost situation for a team like the Pirates, and there's going to be bigger market teams that are probably more willing to mortgage prospects who probably are going to pounce on somebody like that. I will say just everything we've read from various outlets, John Parado, there have been other outlets that have hinted at sort of disconnect the other way than what John was reporting. You have this many different signals coming from the front office and ownership in general. It paints a picture, for me at least, Bob, where there is some disconnect. I don't care to what degree people want to believe it exists, but it's obvious that there is not a unified front necessarily being presented by that front office and ownership.
Yeah, I think that's true. And we're going to take a break on that note. When we come back, we'll open up the phone calls for you. 412-575-2600. Thank you for joining us and watching the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA+. We'll be back with your opinions next. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night comes from the Pirates. Anchored down indeed for Brian Reynolds. He now has 115 career home runs, most home runs all time by a Pirates switch hitter. You might remember Bobby Bonilla had that. And boy, I'll tell you, this guy has really come on. And he's been consistent through June and now into July. Even his outs are hard hit, like tonight. Chris, there was a line drive to center field. He had the first hit for the Pirates over the first 6 innings or whatever it was. His RBI production is up, and his numbers among National League outfielders are really good. So that turns out to be a deal that the Pirates should really like, given what they gave him.
He's playing like a guy that will be good for several more seasons and that they actually will be able to count upon as a cornerstone piece offensively. Kind of what they hoped, I think they were going to get in a way, a better version of it because he's a better player offensively, from Ke'Bryan Hayes, who hasn't turned into that kind of player. But Reynolds, the story, Bob, as I'm sure you know, is the guy is Babe Ruth in the month of June in his career, and then he usually reverts back to Baby Ruth for the month of July. But he has kept it going, which is a really encouraging sign. They really do. I know that this is cliche, and it's maybe sounds like I'm almost towing their line about internal improvements. If they get Reynolds to keep this up, they get Tellez generally keeping up what he's been doing lately, and they get probably 1.5 more players. You know what I mean? Just 1.5 more guys to consistently hit. Given that the way their pitching is still going, Priester was good last night, Ortiz has been very good, Skeens is Skeens, Keller's Keller, you'll eventually get Jones and Falter back. They might not need that much more to stay in this thing right to the bitter end in the wild card chase.
Yeah, and other teams are doing the same thing. All those records are very similar, from 44 and 47 to 45 and 45. None of it is unattainable. They just have to get some consistency. One NBA note before I go to the lines here, so hang on, all you guys on the line, and that would be, I've watched NBA a lot. I love the TNT product, and it looks like they're going to be on the outs here after the NBA, according to The Athletic, is finalizing a deal with NBC, with ESPN, and with Amazon at 11 years, $76 billion. And TNT now is in a situation where they have a right to match. The money is crazy to me, but that's exactly what it is. And it won't be the same without TNT. At least for me, it won't.
No, their studio show's the best. I mean, I will say that I'm still a guy, and I think you are, and most people are. At the end of the day, we might love the studio shows. Ernie Johnson's great, Barkley's funny, Shaq's funny, etc. I still watch it for the games. I will tell you this, it won't fully ease the sting, but assuming NBC brings back John Tesh's round ball rock, I think that's a trade we can all at least live with, Bob. I
remember that. I used to really like that.
Terrific.
But that's the business of sports today. It's really incredible how much money we're talking about, and I'm sure those players want their share of that pie. Let's go back to the Lions beginning tonight with Chris in South Hills. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hey, just 2 quick comments. The first one's a little facetious. What do we need? First baseman, outfielder, first-round pick, Will Craig, Travis Swaggerty. Where are they now? Out of baseball.
Yeah.
Second is, I think it's about time we try to gauge where Nunning's daughters play into this. He wants to be a family thing. Do they really even have any desire to own this?
Well, if they
team?
like money, they do, and every year the worth of the franchise goes up compared to what he bought it. So I hope, if that's the case, and it eternally stays in the family there, Chris, you need baseball people involved here to the point where to tell them, hey, this is a deal that you made with this city. You got a lot in return. And the obligation is to win and to do more to win. So I hope that's the message.
You're talking about people, Bob, when you say baseball people there, are you speaking about people within Major League Baseball?
Yeah. People just...
Well, see, No, let me just say this. This is like an unpopular opinion of mine, but I think if Rob Manfred had any issue whatsoever with the way Bob Nutting owned this baseball team and the financial outlay he put forth each year, Rob Manfred would have ways of making Bob Nutting's life fairly unpleasant as a Major League Baseball owner. And so while I understand a lot of the anger that gets turned towards the owner directly here, I think you also need to spare some of it for the people that actually run baseball. Because if they thought there was an issue with how the Pirates, were being handled, they would do something about it. Clearly they don't.
Yeah, but they should. There's a time when you should, and just to make things. But then again, it comes down to the economic situation in baseball and how everyone's making money. So you're not obligated, or you don't feel like you need to step up and go against the grain here with some of those beliefs, because you're making money no matter what happens. Let's go to Mike in Charleroi, who may have another take on the Pirates. What's up, Mike? How are you?
Hey, hi, Bob. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
I think it's time for the cord to be cut with Perez. If you look at the talent level in AA and AAA, it's very high. What they don't have is experience. That being said, I think Bubba Chandler should be given a shot at 1 or 2 starts with the Pirates.
Well, he will eventually, but as far as Perez, he's signed for the rest of this year. I think it was an $8 million deal. Is that right, Chris? I can't remember the exact number.
8 or $8.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, they're not.
It's
quite frankly, they haven't gotten the bang
Chapman
for their buck though with him. I mean, I know he got injured. I realize that. Marco Gonzalez got injured, so they've spent a lot of money on 2 guys who really haven't done all that much.
Perez has had, I think, his share of actually quite good starts. What was it, 1 start before this one where he was actually very good?
Yeah, he
was a hard luck loser.
But you know what I mean. For what you're paying $8 million.
No, I understand. Well, you know what? I go back to this then, though. It's with the Pirates, it's, people saying Ke'Bryan Hayes has got a bad contract. I talked about him yesterday because in John Parato's piece, he suggested people within baseball think the Pirates might be willing to move on from Ke'Bryan Hayes. And a bunch of people on Twitter said, oh, that's a terrible contract. No, it is not. I understand that people here have this, you know that there are not big name and big money players on this roster by and large, and so anybody that gets anything approaching 7, 8, 9, 10 million a year, you think, oh, they better be like Gold Glove, MVP candidate, or Cy Young candidate. $8 million for a guy who pitches approximately like Martin Perez does, or $7 million for an all-glove, minimal hit third baseman, that's like cost of doing business stuff around the rest of baseball. That's the problem.
No, I agree with that. And, I don't have a problem with that contract. I thought it was a good contract for the Pirates to sign. Now, he does have to get better offensively. They need that. They need him. They need other guys to be more consistent. Let me ask you this, Chris, because we were posed with this question last night. As constructed, without any help, can the Pirates still get that 3rd wild card?
Yeah, they can. I mean, I almost don't want to say that because it's so ridiculous, and it's baseball's master plan coming to fruition. Almost everybody's in it. Nobody actually has to do anything exciting until right up at the trade deadline, and even then maybe not, and you can still get in there with like 83 wins. But, yeah, I mean, how could I not say that they can still make it? Reynolds is really good. Skeens is terrific. Keller's very good. Tellez is suddenly hitting like a man possessed. They probably do have enough to stay in this race. If their pitching doesn't fall apart anymore health-wise, they're absolutely going to be within like 5 games of it around the end of August, start of September. I believe that firmly. Which
teams do you think will pose the biggest problems? Because hot on their heels, not hot because it's been inconsistent, Chicago, Cincinnati, but right above them is San Diego. And as much as I like San Diego's roster in terms of pure talent, they've struggled too. They were just 3 ahead of the Pirates coming in, and they have some head-to-head meetings coming up.
So we've got Philly, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers running away with it. We assume, right, the Braves are taking that first wild card spot. I'll tell you this much. If you're already penciling in the Cardinals for the 2nd wild card, I feel like you probably should, because the devil magic there is back and in full force for that team. I think any of those teams you mentioned, Padres, Cubs, if the Reds get any kind of like... The Reds have a lot of sizzle, but there's not nearly enough stake there. If they ever get going, I think they have the kind of young talent on that roster with De La Cruz leading the way. And they just brought up a young guy who's already hit like 2 light tower home runs there in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
If they ever get going, I think they're a team that's actually capable of getting on a big roll.
We need to take a break. We'll do it right now. Call 412-575-2600. Now that game is over and the Pirates lost tonight, you might have an opinion. Call now. We'll try to sneak you in when we continue with the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.